Africa. President Donald Trump will have his first meeting with an African leader, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, today in Washington. South African rand tumbles by as much as 1.5% as the new Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba resumes office. And the Association of Tanker Drivers in Nigeria embark on a nationwide strike, raising fears of another round of fuel scarcity. It's the first edition of the program this week, and it's great to have you. I am Bisi Adebayo. U.S. President Donald Trump will be meeting with Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the U.S. capital, Washington, today. Mr. al-Sisi will be the first African leader to meet Mr. Trump as president. Mr. Sisi was also the first African leader to speak to and congratulate Mr. Trump after his election victory. The Palestinian-Israeli peace process is expected to be on the agenda, as is the fight against a so-called Islamic State group. The two leaders met last September in New York when Mr. Sisi was in the country to attend the annual UN General Assembly. Well, joining us to talk about this meeting is VOA's Pete Heinlein. Thank you for joining us, Pete.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So what more can you tell us about the meeting between both presidents?
Well, I think it has generated a lot of interest about human rights in Egypt. This has been a subject which was of a great concern during the Obama administration. President Obama never invited the Egyptian leader to the White House, and as a matter of fact, at one point froze aid and took other measures against his what was considered state brutality. But it seems as if this may be a new day under President Trump, and human rights campaigners are up in arms about this. They've been quite vocal in criticizing President Trump for not taking up more the issues of human rights campaigners, people who are campaigning for many things, including an American citizen, Aya Hijazi, who's in prison in Egypt and has been so for quite some time. So human rights is not probably going to be high on the agenda today, but it's something that everybody's watching.
Well, Pete, we know that the Palestinian-Israeli peace process is expected to be on the agenda. Also, we're expecting to see them talk about the fight against so-called Islamic State group. But what other issues will be top on the agenda?
Well, I think you just hit the biggest one, and that is security, the fight against Islamist extremism, political Islam. And it's interesting because President Trump is keen to make clear that what he opposes is political Islamist extremism, and not, as many people in the Muslim world believe, against Islam itself. And he finds in President Sisi a partner who has himself, who is believed to be a devout Muslim, who is himself against political Islamist extremism, and has in fact gone to the Al-Azhar, the highest Islamic authorities in Egypt, and talked about his interest in controlling Islamist extremism, and certainly a Muslim, a devout Muslim, would not be considered anti-Islamic.
Oh, well, Egypt is the first African country to meet President Trump. Do you have any idea as to why this has happened?
Well, I think security is the answer. As one analyst told me, security is first, second, and third on both of their agendas. And President Trump, as he gears up, he's on a great learning curve on foreign policy. He wants to involve America's partners in what he considers this fight against terrorism. He doesn't have any other leaders from Africa on his agenda, on his schedule yet, but I asked a White House official just a short time ago if he's expected to do so, and they said, yes, he just hasn't gotten there yet. He still hasn't met President Xi of China. He hasn't met President Putin of Russia. So he's got some big engagements to take care of, and he's scheduling others. For instance, this week, in between meeting President Sisi and President Xi, he's also going to meet the King of Jordan, King Abdullah. And so he's got a lot of catching up to do as he gets going here.
VOA State House correspondent Pete Highline, thank you so much for talking to us on the program.
My pleasure. Take care.
10,000 migrants stranded in Libya will be flown back to their home countries later this year, and that's according to the International Organization for Migration, who made this known over the weekend. Also, cholera spreads in drought-ravaged Somalia. We have more on these stories in our summary of weekend stories.
The head of the UN Migration Agency's Libyan office says up to 10,000 migrants stranded in Libya will be flown back to their home countries this year. But the returns can only play a limited role in tackling migrant flows towards Europe. The International Organization for Migration program is one of the few ways EU states can fund action inside lawless Libya, which has become the main migration departure point for Europe as they scramble to stem record flows across the central Mediterranean. Other plans have been held up by poor security, political resistance, and a lack of government control in Libya, where powerful militias and smuggling networks act with impunity.
2016, the number increased to 2,775. In the first 3 months of 2017, we already reached 1,624. And our target for the year is between 7,000 and 10,000. The return program definitely is not based on what IOM plans or the number we plan to